everybody. We are back today with astrologer Ellias Lonsdale. I'm super stoked that you wanted to come back and talk to me about reality. And I know when I asked you to do this with me, I remember you kind of laughed, like, what? Like, and I know it's kind of a strange request, but I don't really know if it's a strange request because a lot of people nowadays are questioning the reality around them. And this seems like an appropriate conversation to have. Now, like I said before we started recording this, I have no idea what the hell I'm going to say. I'm pretty unscripted as it is. Um, but this time I really have no idea where this is going to go. Um, but I know I want to have the conversation with you. That I know. So I'm gonna do the Jupiter retrograde thing and roll with the intuition, and we'll see where it goes. um, where would you like to start?
Well, yeah. Um, I've been checking out the star configuration because it's so dramatic. I mean, so dramatic. All you have to do is watch Pam Gregory
Yeah.
doing her thing. She's one of the best, and what she has to say about this. Um, right on a new moon in Leo,
Yep.
two two plus Leo. And Pluto is directly opposite.
Yeah.
And she and other astrologers are saying, and I mean, I don't actually want to get too caught up in the stars, but let's just say this is the moment. This is an incredible, perfect moment to be not only, well, just to be incarnating a vision of the future. That's the way I want to put it.
It very much is.
Yeah. I mean, you can just feel it. It's so strong. Um, and what I feel most of all is that, and I'm going to be the one thing I'm going to be astrologically is very Leonine here because this is a super Leo moment.
It is.
Um, so my Saturn in Leo is going to do the freest form of Saturn you can do, like this. Um, each one of us right now is essentially on our own. Not the isolated thing that we were in the Pluto and Capricorn era. It's not an isolated thing. It's a seeding for the all of us together. But we have to start it, and right now is the moment. We have to start it from a very individual place, from a very personal place. Like basically, each one of us is the seed bearer of the living future, and it will change, it'll grow, it'll evolve, but we have to start from somewhere. And Leo is the perfect place to start. So it's like the foundation stone of all that's coming in this moment is here. And my sense is that we have every possible opportunity. Um, when I look at the world affairs, um, I've changed my tune many times about it. And what I see now is that the shadows that are everywhere, and I believe that many of us do start to get this now. Um, the shadows that are everywhere are the kind, what I call fertile darkness, rather than barren darkness.
Fertile
They
dark.
bring, they bring light. Um, we're going to find tremendous light by basically crash landing on a beautiful planet and discovering that we belong here. Contrary to all the get me out of here notions that many people have had, this is the homecoming. This is the here we go. And in the star work that I do over 55 years, Leo, more than anything else, represents the Christ within us. And who is the Christ within us? It's the one in us that's more than self, that's more than the empirical ego. It's the bursting forth self. It's the one in us who feels, senses, knows that they're here for purpose and they're centered in somebody in them, through them, that's so much more than they themselves are in the world on the outer. And so, in a sense, I'll just speak from my experience. My Leo sensibility is that now I get my turn, but not just me gets my turn and you don't. But I get my turn so you get your turn, so that we get our turn, because we haven't really had our turn, so to speak. We've been left out. We have been, the super rich and the elite and everybody, uh, you know, wants nothing to do with us, and we don't have to have brown skin or be, um, you know, any kind of identifiable, um, you know, uh, somebody from some strange part of the world, such as Mexico or anything in that world. We don't have to be that. All we have to be is anybody who's not in the club. However, all we really have to do, that's how they see it. What we can do is we don't, we're not going to play by their rules. Their rules are rules of the past. They're
Mhm.
clinging to them because that's all they know. And they assume that that's all there is. Some of us, and I suspect you're one of them, sense and know and feel a future now, as I call it, future from now on, that is different. It's not like that at all. And so this is a moment of baptism or inauguration or seeding or impulsing what is meant to be. And in a substantive sense, um, each one of us struggles mightily with our shadow. Um, Jung, who was an early Leo
Mhm.
and who brought about 80% of the psychological terminology that makes any sense to anybody. He was the one that brought all the stuff about shadow, for example.
Mhm.
Um, his sun degree is 4 degrees Leo, and there is just a sense of this shadow that directly accompanies Leo. Leo has great light and deep shadow. Each one of us right now, you, I, everybody tuning in, has an accentuation and intensification of the light and a parallel intensification of the shadow. And in star terms, the sun is opposite Pluto. It's just perfect for that.
It is.
This is the shadowiest moment in the world. And it's full of promise and light and brightness. It's not even paradoxical. It's just all the same. It's all part of the same thing. And it's incredible. I mean, I've been getting overly excited the last few hours, anticipating this because I realized that I've always been wanting this and needing this and onto this. And each one of us is like that.
Mhm. Yes.
How about for you?
Well, you touched on okay. So first of all, what you said about the new moon, I feel like what you were saying, I actually wrote something very, very similar about. Um, because Leo is such individuated energy. It is.
Yeah.
It is. But then we have that Pluto and Aquarius opposing it, like directly opposing it, damn near exactly. And it's like in order to it's kind of like be the change, if you will, like it starts at an individual level, that individuation, and then that individuation can be brought back to the collective, right, to do good, or hopefully do good. I guess people could also do some real shit things with it, but hopefully they're doing good things with it,
Yeah.
um that's very, very much the energy of this lunation. I absolutely. And the thing about the shadow that you were just talking about yes, Leo has a very, very bright light, and there can also be a there is a shadow there too. Ultimately, I think, and maybe this is me being overly idealistic, I don't know, but Leo energy, it wants to shine a light on those shadows and make them not shadowy, and ideally that is what is done with the energy. Ideally, um and that there's not somehow more shadow cast on the shadow.
Right.
um but and it's very individual how this actually plays out for people, but I think being aware and cognizant that we can shine a light individually on these shadows, right? Our own stuff, our own shit other places, and then hopefully do something good with it. Hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully anyway. But this is, I mean, yeah. And you bring up Saturn, you brought up your Saturn, because when I think about reality, I think of Saturn. That is where my mind goes. And I was also, not that I'm like ride or die with any text, right? I'm not, but I do have the rulership book, right? There are things in that book that I don't necessarily agree with, but there are things that I do. And I was looking through it, and somehow I noticed that realization is a Neptune thing, or that's what it says in the book. And I was like, huh, okay. And so then I'm starting to think about the conjunction between Saturn and Neptune and the idea of like reality realization. These two things. And I'm like, okay. So, because it really, like this particular period of time, really does. And I think we touched on this in the other video. It's like people are coming awake. I've heard numerous people say that it feels like they are waking up after being asleep for a long time.
Yes.
They are just, you know, it's like look alive kind of thing. And so I'm thinking, okay, so this conversation feels like it is absolutely right on time.
Yeah. Um, Part of what I've been going through, the wilder part, the really out there part, is that I've been realizing um, here's where I don't know how to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. That's what I challenge myself to
Okay.
say things that I don't know how to say. This is one of them. Uh, um, Essentially, um, I've been realizing that there is a force at work um, coming up from the underworld
Okay. Yeah.
to the surface.
Mm.
And there's basically two underworlds in a sense. There's a kind of a dark underworld, and there is a bright underworld. And in the teachings that I'm connected with, the Christ, what happened. Okay, so Jesus of Nazareth was crucified on Good Friday,
Mhm.
and then he dived into the underworld.
Okay.
Um, that's commemorated on the Saturday. And what did he do? He brought the light of Christ into the underworld where it had been very dark. It was the world of shades
Mhm.
just before that. And then the resurrection on the Sunday that everybody thinks about, but nobody really understands or even goes with, really, is he he brought a whole new impulse into the world that has struggled basically because people literalize it and turn it into something completely different than he intended. Okay, but the part about that's that story, but the part about the Saturday in between, uh, in essence, he created a different underworld, and the dark underworld continues forever because nothing ever really dies. Nothing ever really ends. So it's not that he, got rid of that, but he brought on this different underworld. And that's what I'm feeling rising from just beneath the surface to the surface. And the way it feels to me is that everything that's been hidden, not actually very hidden, but just under the surface, is emerging now. And as it emerges, it's like we we get some really good news, which is it seemed like everything was gone, missing, not going to happen. But as soon as it's like the sun at dawn would be the best image for this. Like, everything's dark, and then the sun rises, and suddenly the world is suffused with light.
Breaks through.
And actually, yesterday at sunset, I saw the most incredible, bright, beet red sun. So I'm actually relating it to it from the other end at the moment. But either way, the rising, the setting, the sun on the horizon. It's like we're coming through, and it's been very dark. Darkest hour is just before the dawn, as they say. And here, to me, very literally, we're coming to the first dawning of the age of Aquaria, or another way to put it, of recognizing ourselves for who we are. And we have basically forgotten ourselves tremendously, like unbelievably, unbelievably um, how much amnesia we can go for. But every extreme breeds its opposite. And now we have a new earth and a new heavens. And I apologize to people who really can't stand anything to do with Christianity. I'm not trying to bring back anything about the churches or anything, but there's an iconography there that's so powerful, uh, and that I live into. I'm not an outer Christian, never have been, never will be. Um, but so essentially, we are now opening ourselves to the full dimension of who we're meant to be. And there's many, many precedents. But to me, it's not about what happened before. It's only about what happens next. We've had enough endless dwelling on the past. This is about launching a new creation.
Yes. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about something that you said because
Yes.
I want to see if I okay, so when he 'cause I'm just to preface this, I'm not a Christian either. Like like you just said, say I feel, the same kind of way, but I get what you mean about the iconography and like I get what you're saying. You say you said that he died and he is it like the underworld kind of split? Is that what you're saying? Like it kind of went off into two parts?
Yeah. At that moment, um, a new underworld came through. Um, and in a way, the old underworld was overshadowed for a moment because something brand new was here. But as it tends to happen, the old underworld gradually crept back in.
Okay.
And actually, in the tragedy of things, it essentially insisted that there never had been a new underworld, that there's only, in fact, most people assume that and believe that, whether they think about it or not, that the underworld's dark, the underworld's heavy, the underworld's strange, the underworld is full of menace. It is. But the primary underworld, the one that I'm feeling rising up, is actually the opposite. It's not opposite. It's coming from a whole other place. And that is it's literally coming from the future, which is always the concept people have trouble with. But it's coming toward us from the future. Ever since Uranus went into Gemini, which is very recent,
Mhm.
um, all there is the future. That's the only thing on the horizon. That's the only thing. Those of us, okay, certainly for me, and as I think I mentioned in the previous thing, I have Uranus and Gemini, and boy, that of all the things, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, you name
Yeah.
it, Uranus and Gemini is living up to its reputation,
It is.
and one of the things that Uranus is doing in Gemini is it's like Taurus was looking back and reflecting and going, this has been a really strange world. And then Uranus and Gemini comes on and says, yeah, you're right. And let's get on with the new,
Let's get on. Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah.
you
It
know?
absolutely. Yeah.
And it hasn't been very long at this moment, but
Yeah. Just a
it
few.
happened right away. I mean, it's just, it hit the ground running, flying. Um, and one of the things that I experienced with Uranus and Gemini, I mean, I know that it's too hectic for a lot of people and it's very hard to integrate from a surface point of view. I get all that. But I'm talking about something different at the moment. Um, Basically, those of us who are here to awaken and are ready and willing and desperate to awaken is what I'm really context here. Um, my sense of that is there's nothing left. If I look around me at the world, there's nothing left of what was. There's just a empty, desiccated memory. But I literally experienced that there's everything calling me forth.
Mhm.
So I'm not lingering over what's not here any longer. I'm held into what is coming into being, and it will not stop saying to me, I mean, this happens every day, several times a day. Incredible. Okay, here it is again. Here it is again. I get into a reading with someone, and we just go so far, way further than they thought anybody would ever go with them. Or I just talk on the phone with some key friend of mine, and we cannot stop seeing, knowing, connecting with each other, bringing it forth. Um, so my sense is, and since it is just beginning, I know I'll have even stronger sense of months from now or whatever. But at this moment, uh, I feel like it's more than hope. Words like hope are very weak. It's more like a dawning awareness,
Yeah.
a burgeoning awareness that something is here. And if I engage it, one thing with Uranus and Gemini, and I want to say this strongly for people on a practical level, it's completely co creative.
Mhm.
If you respond to the impulse gets so much stronger so fast. It's all a matter of what you create, of what you're willing to go with. And I'm willing to go with all of it. And so it keeps coming back to me. The feedback loop is incredibly sharp. It's not subtle. Uranus and Gemini is not subtle.
No, it's not. It's not. And Gemini energy, just generally speaking, is very can be very very like mimic, it can mimic, and it can be kind of mirror like. And so yes, yes, that feedback loop, what you're talking about, yes, absolutely. And it's fast and it's electric.
Yeah, it's so thrilling.
Yeah. This is opposite my son.
Yes.
So it's like that's what it feels like. But I gotta say I'm kind of here for it. Like it's a little bit sometimes the is kind of like, oh shit, it's a lot. And then sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for it. Shit, yeah. You know?
Well, if you're a Sag, which
Yeah.
obviously you are, um, this is what it's all about. It's not like, what else are you going to do?
Good point. That's a great point. That's true. Exactly. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. It is
Yeah.
very it is very electric though, and I really am the world
Oh,
is a
yeah.
the world is a crazy
Yeah.
fucking place and it
Well,
but
you
this
know, the hard part with that is if you go off, you go off fast and it's hard to get back. And that's why a lot of people are getting a lot of lessons really fast.
Mhm.
And the shadow aspect of, well, with Pluto, with everything, is it's very difficult to stay with this on a steady basis, to
Yeah.
really hold it. Um, you know, because what it wants to do is it wants to almost eat you up,
Yeah. Consume
and
you.
you can get thrown, like, so many bizarre things happen, so many, because there's no rules anymore, there's no container.
Which really, if you think about it, that can make some people like really super uncomfortable when the container's gone and it's just kind of like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
That can be, but it's really what this world needs
yeah,
at exactly the time that it needs it.
yeah. The way all these planets are lining up in the early degrees of fire and air, and what everybody's talking about, all the astrologers, well, of course they're talking about it because there's just this, wow, this exaltation in new beginnings.
Yes,
The signature of the moment is entirely about new beginnings.
it is. Yes, it really is.
And I've been in the 60s and 70s, and I've been in new beginnings many times, but not like this. Not like this. This is, unless the boogeymen are able to really, really do what they think they can do, which is just shut it all down. Unless they can do that, which I do not believe they can, uh, really, we are in for many years of revival of the life force, the real living experience. And I know that many people don't realize that yet, haven't quite caught wind of that. And certainly it's a horrible world if you don't get that, because you need that fresh forwarding wind to motivate you, to get you going. But when you find it, certainly for me, it's like instantaneous. That's the thing. It's all instantaneous. You don't see, if you don't have a lot of earth element at work, okay? If you don't have a lot of earth element at work, then let me
Oh, did you get a message or a call or
define it. Um, Sorry. Um, yeah. Um, if if you, what was I saying? Oh, wait, without the earth element. Um, the earth element's very, very weak right now. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And
Yeah.
that is significant. The traditional earth element, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Well, that what it is, I'm a Taurus with Virgo rising, Virgo in breath. So I know why Earth element people or Earth element with anything is having a hard time.
Yeah.
I'm not having a hard time, but that's because I'm so wild and crazy. But the it, like for example, if I identify with the Virgo in me, which is easy for me to do, there are problems everywhere. There are micro problems. They're piling up everywhere. There's far too many things that don't work. Everything doesn't work. Okay, I'll just give a brief Virgo monologue. Um, Nothing
Of
works
course.
around here. I can't do it. Nobody does it. It's thankless. It's hopeless. Why do I even try? That's kind of the Virgo feeling of things. And you don't have to be Virgoan to feel that way. That part of us that's very practical and embodied, if you're in a world that's not supportive of that, in other words, if you're in a chaotic, fragmented world like so many of us are, then the lack of Earth's element definitely makes it very difficult to embody, to stay with it, to feel, yes, okay, here I am, to sort of sustain it and soberly, lucidly make it happen. And so many, many people, particularly on a practical or body level, are just fermentive and, oh God, it's very tough. And even that, what I realize now, every time I get into that at all, I realize, and this is, I think, very important. All I have to do is change my tune. Like there's nothing actually happening that's institutionalized as obstacles. They're gone. And so all I have to do is kind of go, oh, I have nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing actually here that's impinging on me except for memory. And so, in that sense, okay, we've got to do this again. Uh, um, yeah, essentially, we are in a completely new world, and there's no scaffolding, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? No scaffolding. Like there's nothing's here. So we have to get it that we can, in the moment, spontaneously discover it and bring it. And nobody and nothing's going to stop us, not even anybody in ourselves, if we just learn to move with the wisdom of the life force, because it's here. And I am stunned by it, completely stunned.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And you, okay. So there are a couple things I want to touch on that kind of, okay. Earlier, you had mentioned about like awakening, and it's almost like this moment is good for that, but also for people remembering, if because like you said, the past doesn't the past is done, right? And I think that there are, there is a tendency to get hung up on there, or there can be, and depending on a person's chart or whatever, that they might have even more of a tendency to do that. But it is kind of like when that is let go of, and you're able just to kind of ride this wave that you're
Yeah.
talking about. It is like a wave. It's not steady, because like you're honest, not steady. It's not a steady planet. It's not supposed to be, it does what it does. But it's like this remembering can actually take place. And I think that that's also, maybe without people saying it like that, that's also like what is taking place as well. This
Yeah. And you could say star wise, if that's Jupiter in Cancer.
Yeah.
And the way I would put it with what you're invoking, and I know what you're saying, is it's remembering that we originally brought ourselves here for a purpose,
Mhm.
that this isn't actually a mistake or an accident or anything like that, that we've been doing this forever and that we're here now with every chance in the world. It's a remembrance of soul. It's a
Yes.
remembrance of the life of the soul,
Yes.
which is a timeless life that was planted in all the worlds we've ever been in. And time is very peculiar in its workings.
Big is.
And so, essentially, I mean, the one in me who's remembering is immediately what I feel in my body as I say this. I feel this poignant feeling in it's not grief. People immediately say the word grief the moment you point to your lungs or something. We have a physiology at work. Um, no, it's not grief. It's poignancy. It's longing.
I was going to say longing. It's a long,
Yeah,
that's the word
yeah.
yeah. Yes.
I mean, you can just feel it.
Yes.
Right in here.
It's right here. And it's like a tugging, like no, I know it. Yes. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because I actually feel like the future is so good that I almost it almost breaks me down. It I feel in my body not grief, not anything negative or nothing like that. Not that grief is exactly negative, but anyway, um, just this sense of wow, what would it be like if we actually took hold of this planet and these bodies and this life together, and we actually celebrated and honored and investigated and explored and all of it, because that's what remains. That's what we haven't done yet.
Yeah, and that's what I think people are trying, maybe not everybody across the board, but that's what people are trying to figure out how to do or trying to move into. And I think at just my opinion, right? Opinions are like assholes, but it's like I feel like that'll probably come even more people over the next so many years. We'll kind of feel that same sort of thing. Um,
Yeah, the way you can tell that is if you hang out with younger people of various groups, there's a spark.
uh-huh.
And some of them, many of them, have been overdosed by so many things, um, technology, drugs, lots of things, um, weird sex, whatever. Um, well, it's true.
No, no, I know, but it's yeah.
The seamy side of the sexual underground that's so prominent these days. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's just been a lot, and the spark is there, and the spark is igniting. And those people that I know who are under 35, particularly under 30, who are getting it, they they're so aware and so present, and it's so clear to me that they knew what they were coming into. Before they came into this body this time around, they knew what they were getting into, and they were just waiting for this time. And so they're just okay. Now we can start.
Yeah. Yes. No, I agree with that. And it's also it's funny because I was watching on a completely flip side of that. I was watching something last night where and it was all people I mean, I don't know. They all had to have been under 30. My guess is under 25. And the shit they were saying, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like,
Yes,
but like, what the fuck? And like, it was so like, I don't know. I was just like, what the hell? What is going on here? Because what the spark that you're talking about was just not there with these
yes.
people, or it was there in a very different way. And it's like, where the fuck did you all come from? I won't call any,
Yeah,
I won't say call anything out on here, but it's just, I was like, damn, what the hell am I watching?
no, I respect your, I don't have a simple word for it, but your ability to just tell it like it is. Um, no, really. And yes,
You.
the way I would respond to that is those who have really gotten burned, fentanyl and all the rest of it, I mean, so many things, um, are some of them are like vacant or just abandoned. And then the mind comes in and says all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, it's pretty easy. I mean, evolution is ruthless and relentless,
Yeah.
especially at this point.
Yep.
And it's casting off, um, like I would say probably a third of humanity are being cast off, are being killed off, are and reduced to wrecks. And certainly my Neptunian nature is like, oh God. Um, and after a while, you kind of start to get it that that's a natural process. That's part of it. It's a culling.
Yeah.
We cull things, and it's not that I want to. It's that it's following a greater wisdom that's very impersonal and kind of heavy. And there are so many people who are casualties of these wars,
Mhm.
and most of the wars are undeclared, but they're everywhere. There's so many Israel, Russia, U.S., on and on and on. There's so many wars, um, but most of the wars, like in this country, in the United States, most of the wars are undeclared because we don't tend to have wars on this, soil,
They're
right?
undercover. They're
Yes,
information. They're, mhm.
and if I was growing up in a heavy city environment in now, and I didn't have any cosmic orientation at all, didn't remember that yet. Yeah, I would be so anxious, so apprehensive because everything keeps getting worse, and it's impossible. It's just impossible, unbearable. How can you even, continue to live? And some people don't. It's really, but it's so important in my sense not to get caught in the melodrama.
Yeah. That is, what you're, yeah, not getting caught in the melodrama. I turned that shit off. That was, I turned it off because I thought, you know what, this, like, I don't, like, this doesn't serve me. This doesn't serve the collective in any kind of positive way. Ellie, why the fuck are you watching this? Turn it off. Like, turn it
I,
off. Who cares?
yep. I'm glad you watched it enough for us to say that because that's here too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been in my own way at different points of time and different videos. I've definitely been like, turn the shit off. Turn it off. If you don't like it, if it makes you anxious, makes you scared, if there's nothing you can do about it, and that's not to say, let me also say, that's not to say that you shouldn't know what's going on in the world. Okay, I'm not trying to tell people not to be informed. That would be fucking stupid. But if you're watching something and there's nothing you can do about it, and it just makes you serves to make you anxious. You are informed, but turn it off.
Yeah, putting it in core Plutonian terms. Okay. Um, the underlying reality is that what you turn against turns against you,
Yeah.
and what you turn toward opens the space for everybody.
Yes,
And so there's a lot of things to turn against. But if you turn around and turn toward, things open up incredibly.
they do. And it's also such a much more positive way to go about it, to turn towards something that you feel like is good for you or good for the collective, or, and I realize that good is kind of a relative thing, right? That depends on what you think good is, right?
Right.
Right? But, assuming that you've got good intentions, again, I guess you that depends on what good means to you, but good intentions with things, um yeah, turning towards things that you feel like are positive, are helpful, are serving you, serving other people, can be helpful. Absolutely.
I want to bring in a cosmic perspective for a second here.
Okay.
I thought originally I'd be doing that a lot, but life's gotten to be so strange recently. But I'm remembering that I really, yeah, okay. Um, woo, here we go.
Okay.
Back in 1993, I was reborn out of the triple death, and I've written about it and talked about it, including an interview with you a few years back. Well, there's one facet of all of that that's I'm going to just pluck out of that domain, the one that's most cooking in me right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little context. About 6 weeks ago or something, I was watching a YouTube video, and it was a woman who had a near death experience.
Okay.
And of course, there are many of those,
Mhm.
but this one just grabbed me, just absolutely grabbed me. And so I watched this woman speaking. And um, I'm going to actually be interacting with her next month,
Cool.
um, because I wanted to do that.
Okay.
But what I got already, I'm sure I get more when we talk, but she has come back from that experience into the most joyous, not just, I noticed that many people with near death experiences, it's way too heavenly, it's way too abstract, it's way too out there. Many of us can't even stand it after a while because it's just so, I don't know, um, utopian and trippy. And with her, it wasn't. I mean, it was a little of that, but it was all emphasizing what she could bring back into life. And it felt like she has a small child, and like she's a healer, and she's doing all these things, and like she's really here with it. It's coming through for her. Okay, that's what stirred me up, sometime in, about a little over a month ago. And what I feel from what I went through, I didn't just go through it in 1993. I've been going through it ever since. I'm always going through it, and it keeps reviving further. And in the current revival of that impulse, of what we call the triple death impulse, and I can't fill people in on everything about this. Read the book of Theana. It's just too much, um, at the moment. Or, watch that video that you did with me.
I'll
That
link it.
uh, yeah, um, that's a good one. That
Yes.
summarizes the whole thing. Um, what I want to say is, what does it actually do for, not for me, through me now? What Where do I go with that? I used to think what it meant was that I had a different relation to death, which I certainly do, and that's great. But most of all, I have a different relation to life.
Hmm.
Um, like what? Well, this is another one of those moments where I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I always challenge myself to say things I don't know how to say. My
I,
mind doesn't,
I think
but it happens anyway. Um, yeah. So I could just feel that part of me going, "Ooh, God, I'm going to talk about this." Um, yeah, it is this. I feel actually flooded out these days, flooded out with blessings. Why? Because um, I wish I wasn't talking about this. It makes me feel very vulnerable,
oh,
but I have
like
to.
this. Want to stop?
I'm sorry to the part of me that feels so vulnerable, but here we go. Um, it's like I just am infused with this force, this incredible force, and I am convinced that the worlds that exist just beyond the threshold, just beyond what we see visibly
Yeah.
here, are so present. They certainly are for me. They're so present. They're so here that being at one with them doesn't just make me feel better or something. It doesn't make me feel better or worse. That's not the point. It gives me, well, what it most of all shows up as. I've been doing a lot of readings recently. And in the readings, I've always been like this, but not like this. Now I'm infusing 100% life force, enthusiasm, affirmation, clarity, conviction into every reading. I can't help it. I can't help it. It just comes. But it's not just readings. If I'm in a phone conversation with somebody I'm really connected with, it comes up again. My daughter, who just moved to France, and we had this ecstatic embrace of what it means for her to move to France. Um, just everything's like that. And so, um, what I'm trying to say is that the cosmic dimension is able to bring new forces into the world. And now I'm finally, after a long time of working with this, completely open to it, completely responsive to it. And so, what it does, I hope I can get this across. This is the hard part. Um, it makes me realize that who I will be after my physical death 10, 20, 30 years from now, whenever that is, doesn't matter. That person is with me now,
Mhm.
and he makes every moment from now onward. I'm 78, uh, full of joy and beauty. And that's why I'm in love with spirit. I'm not in love with spirit because I'm so devotional and so good and sweet and nice. It's be, it's because it's a force.
Yeah.
It's an incredible force, and it brings the world alive. And I know that with a total conviction. And I wish, and my wishes tend to come true. My wish is that I could spread that, that I could really bring that forward for everybody, because in me, it's not like, well, maybe it's true and maybe it's not true, and wouldn't that be great? It's here. It's like absolutely here. And I don't know what I want to say about it, except it's resurgent and it wants to be tapped.
No, I know what you're talking about. Well, I've got two things. I'll share how I understand what you're talking about, and then
Yeah.
and then also I want to ask how you think people could kind of try to tap into that, because I do feel like people, there are more people, they may not explain it like exactly like you did, or they may not even consciously understand it in exactly the way that you do,
Yeah. Yes.
but they feel they can feel it. They may not, it's like it's around them or it's in them or it's on them. I think there are a lot of people that sense that without being able to give it words, which actually you said you have a hard time saying. Yet that was beautifully explained. I absolutely understood everything you said. Totally get it. Um, I think of that version of me as like because I know what you're talking about. It's like you, and it's like it is you, and I think this kind. I think of that part of me. She is with me, or it is with me. I'm probably not a she. I'm an it. I'm a it's you know what I mean. I am you know but I'll use that because in this realm I'm a she. She's on charge or something. She's also around me. She's in me, but she's on charge. She's hanging out. She's waiting to be reunited with the part of me that's here. And I don't mean that in like some kind of sick or morbid way. It's just it is, but she's not just there. She's also hanging out with me. She's also with me.
Yes, yes,
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
yeah,
I absolutely understand what you mean.
yeah. You're saying it very well. Yes.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's good because a lot of time I feel like I say shit and it's like, is anybody going to understand me? Is anybody going to get it?
Well,
um,
it's it's a little bit of a stretch, but if you say it the way you're saying it, which is you say things by instinct, and when you say things by instinct, in the moment, then they get through because we're all that's where we connect most readily, like on a very instinctual level.
yeah, yeah, no, it absolutely is. Okay, but how would you, for people that, I mean, obviously there are some people, even though I believe this is going on for all people, whether or not they pick it up or not, but there are a lot of people that do sense something they wouldn't be able to conceptualize it quite that way or make conscious sense of it. How could they try to, if they know something, they just don't know what, how can they tap in?
Yeah, I'm working on this. I'm going to be doing monthly classes starting August 5th about
Oh,
this.
oh, okay.
I'll go into that in a minute,
Okay.
but directly energetically, let me respond because it's not a programming it's not a matter of just promoting that or something. I need to respond livingly in the moment to what you're saying, what you're asking. Um, it feels to me, I really try to put myself in other people's place.
Mhm.
And I feel if I was in that position, I don't even want to define the position, but what you're saying, what you're bringing up, um, I would want to keep it so simple and basically learn how to be in a stillness and in a receptivity and in a willingness, um, just without beliefs, without any necessary mental framework to it, just entering into the process, particularly in nature
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Uh-huh. Mhm.
and also in solitude in some way.
Mhm.
And then I believe that many, 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 many people, way more people than you would think, can and will discover that what Steiner called the spiritual worlds are right here, and all you have to do is open to them, and they come through. Starting with the angels, but everybody, elemental beings, many beings, those who have died, so called. Um, and basically, we're all here. You just have to let that little mind that says no uh,
Mhm.
go just lightly. I mean, not pretending that you really know how to do that initially, but you just kind of do it anyway.
The thing the nature being like outside and everything. I mean, obviously this isn't nature, this is my backyard. But being outside. There is something about being amongst the trees and amongst the grass and I
Yes.
mean, there absolutely is. And just kind of, sometimes I'll just kind of stare, if that makes sense. Um, but it's not just staring. It's not just like it. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like staring. My mind is still active, but it is somehow released.
Yes.
But it's not like it's like like there's stuff going on. It's not like it's an interesting, yeah, I think you're yeah. I think recommending people to engage with, yes, with something like that is mhm, kind of what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one I just very briefly want to add to that, that um, the child in us has direct access.
Hmm.
And when you listen to the child takes you there.
That's very good advice too. And that's something that people unfortunately can I mean, I don't want to say they like completely lose touch with it or contact with, but as people get older, they do, it's like, oh, stop being so childish,
Right.
that kind of shit. It's kind of thought about as or conditioned to not be a good thing, which causes people not to tap into that or touch that as much as they should. Um,
Yep.
which is all probably by some kind of fucked up design. Really.
Yeah. And the child does have a tendency, if you really listen to her or him or them or somebody, they do have a tendency to threaten your adult world because they think, I mean, what I have found is they're not very impressed with your adult world and they want you to learn how to play, remember again how to play. They want you to move. They most of all, though, that's the obvious. Most of all, they just want you to show up here and experience life as though it's worth experiencing in the same way you or I or anybody as a child knew it was.
Yeah, they want, yes, they want you to experience. There's such a wonderment
Yes.
to the way children see things, and like they'll see something for the first time and it's something that you have seen a million times. And it's like, what in the adult mind is like, why does, like, okay, but then you put yourself in that child place and it's like, wow, this really is some cool shit, it's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it is like, my son has been a wonderful, well, he's wonderful in so many ways, but he has that is something that I have.
How how old is he right now?
He is 7.
Great. Yeah. Yep.
And but I mean, and I mean, even though he is a slightly older child now, there's still new experiences that he has, and it kind of helps me to tap into, he's right. That really is pretty cool. I maybe something I've done a million times, but it's his first time doing it, and that's cool. That's cool, or his first time seeing it or whatever. It's yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Well, since I know that I mentioned to keep this at about an hour, is there anything that we did? I mean, not that we had anything that we were necessarily going to touch on, but is there anything that you want to say that we didn't?
Yeah. One thing.
Okay.
Um, besides this Sag Moon thing of mine, where I'm always saying that everything's good and redemptive and possible, which I'm always going to say, and that's who I am. Besides
Yeah.
that, I'm going to give voice to my Jupiter and Scorpio for a moment.
Okay.
Um, because the destructive side of life is so indigestible to everybody, and yet so liberating when you get far enough with it.
Hmm.
I feel like when we're going through a dark night of the soul, a crisis, it's really important to get it that this is the territory that will generate the greatest shift every time if we survive it, if we keep going with it. And I feel our deaths, our greatest um, heaviness and horrors. I mean, certainly for me, I've had many of them in the course of this life, and I wouldn't have gotten anywhere without them. If I had stuck to an above ground consensus world, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere. So I really feel like, in a very Plutonian way, we're all still in the hopper, still dark, deep through, and we just really need to support each other and ourselves in going through that, and preferably not labeling any of it with neat little psychological labels, you know, but rather actually just being open to it.
And experiencing it.
Yes.
Just experience. Yes. Yeah. I don't have Jupiter in Scorpio. I have a lot of stuff in Scorpio. Um, and I do, yeah, the things you said about, some of the really difficult things, the hard things, the challenging things, you know, yeah, they have very much, I mean, different things, but they very much made me who I am too. Living through them, going through them. Um, so I absolutely understand that for sure. Yeah. And we all just kind of have to go through this moment in time. But it's not, but it's not. I mean, there is so much cool shit. There is so much good shit. There really is. Um,
Yes. There's more every day.
there is. The more that we kind of settle into it, and I think even more like Pluto, it's not moving back into Capricorn, it's staying in Aquarius. But like, Uranus will retrograde back and then it'll move back into Gemini. And then so once he settle a little bit, even more, I think we'll see even more.
Yeah. And next year is a fire horse year. They happen every 60 years.
Of
1966 was the last fire horse year. And what a year that was. What a year that was. And next year, the fire horse year, that is a super powerful year. So, yeah, we're just getting started.
We're just getting started. Yeah. I think it's not going to be all easy, but I think there will be some really cool shit that comes from it. Some
Yep.
really cool shit. Maybe that's what we should call this video, cool shit.
Yep.
Um, well, where can you be found? How can you be found? Tell about the class, please.
Okay. Yeah. So, what we have been doing for years is just doing classes the usual way. Like sometimes, whatever, we've been doing it through kind of a yearly sense. Now we're switching it to a monthly sense, which makes a whole lot of difference because everything's an emergency at this point. Everything is the now, and we can't wait. We got to do it every month. So that's what we're going to do starting August 5th. Will be
August
the
5th?
Leo class, and then we'll do the Virgo class, each month. And
Oh, they're on the signs, on the signs?
yeah,
Okay.
but that sign is only a portal. It's only a gateway. And so, since we're in the Leo moment, I'll say, very briefly about the Leo one. It's just going to be you realizing that now you're here, and what are you going to do with being here in the middle of the month of Leo when there's all these forces at work and it's so powerful. And I don't know where that will go, but I know that those classes will be state of the art because I'm willing and able now to teach whatever needs to be taught to make it tangible, to make it real.
That's fabulous.
And then, so in order to connect up with that, you would do the website, which is stargenesiswisdom.com, stargenesiswisdom.com. And then my phone number for readings that I always give out is 808-785-6800, 808-785-6800.
Should
And I
people
have,
call or text?
hmm?
Should people
You can
call or
call.
text?
And just in case somebody is in love with emailing, I'm even going to give my email address, which is cocrpp@gmail.com. cocrpp@gmail.com. Any of those, in whatever way, those are all involved. And um, the best way I can put it is I am available. Uh, if I was a celebrity astrologer, you would have to go 2 months, 6 months, a year ahead. It's not like that for me. I'm more like you. I'm sure you're not booked up forever,
No.
uh, and I'm certainly not. So I'm here for everybody for everything. I'm not somewhere else doing some important thing. This is what I do.
And you are available.
Yes,
I like that. I like the yes. And I will make sure and put in the description box the link to the website, the phone number, email. I'll do all of that. And I'll also put the link in the description box from the other things that we have done together. So people can
yes,
um
yeah. I think this one is very complementary to the previous one.
it is. It is. Yes. Very yes. So if y'all watching this didn't see the one before last month, go check it out. It'll be in the description box. Link is there. Um, and thank you again so much for coming on and talking with me again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love listening. I love listening. I know that you mentioned that, I don't think you said it in the recording. Well, not the part that's actually going to be on on YouTube, but you mentioned that you wanted it to be more of a dialogue. And I'm like, but I love listening to. So I really do. I truly do love listening to you.
Yeah, I just feel like you're a very lively, responsive soul. You might as well speak from that place.
Well, I appreciate that. Because that um I don't think it's always been so appreciated.
No, well, you're shall I say, you're a shit kicker. I mean, you're not. You're just not a nice girl. You're just not a nice girl.
I'm not proper. I'm not. Yeah. No, that's very true. It's true. It's funny. Shit kicker. I like that. I should put that in like my description because I'm like I like that. It's funny. Uh, well, thank you again for being on here. And
Thank you.
hopefully you will want to come back at some point. I would love to have you back.
Oh, you're not going to keep me away. You're just not going to be able to keep me away.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Good. And I hope everybody enjoyed. And I will see you all later.